This is from Layers from an American, from a woman named Heather Cox Richardson. Now, I've actually quoted her article once before. Here's hers today. Now, mind you, she wrote this a couple of days ago on December 2nd, so try to bear with me on this. Trump's disgraced former national security advisor, disgraced Lieutenant General Michael Flynn, whom Trump recently pardoned after he pleaded guilty to lying to the FBI about his contacts when then-Senate and Russian ambassador to the United States Sergei Kislyak, before Trump took office, retweeted a new release from a right-wing Ohio group called We the People Convention. That release contained a petition asking for Trump to declare martial law, suspend the Constitution, silence the media, and have the military oversee a national revote. The petition ends with a threat of violence, calling on Trump to boldly act to save our nation. We will have no other choice but to take matters into our own hands and defend our own rights if you don't act within the powers to defend us. The University of Texas School of Law professor Steve Vanchek pointed out that the Uniform Code of Military Justice defines sedition as one who, with intent to cause overthrow or destruction of the lawful civil authority, creates in concert with other persons revolt, violence, or other disturbance against that authority. The chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, General Mark Milley, said tried to distance the military from talk of a coup. Quoting him, "Our military is very, very capable, and we are determined to defend the United States Constitution. No one should doubt that." A defense official told Military Times that the idea of Trump declaring martial law and having the military redo the election is, quoting him, insane in a year that we didn't think we could get more insane. He spoke too soon. Donald Trump released a video of himself making a speech. He said that was one of the most important speech I've ever made, quoting him. It was 46 minutes long, a rant insisting, despite all evidence to the contrary, that he won the 2020 election. While he had lost virtually all court challenges, he has mounted it, and his own Attorney General, Billy Barr, has said that there was no evidence of voter fraud that would change the outcome of the election. Trump continues to insist that there was massive voter fraud and called upon the United States Supreme Court to do what's right for our country, including throwing out hundreds of thousands of Democratic votes. So, quoting Donald Trump, I very easily win in all states. At the time of this recording, Joe Biden leads Trump in the popular vote with 80.9 million votes to Donald Trump's 74 million. Biden has won the Electoral College votes by 306 to Donald Trump's 232. These results are not close. Let me take a step back here for a minute to emphasize that this is dangerous, unprecedented, and crazy. The current president of the United States is trying to undermine an election for which there is no evidence that there was any irregularity in order to stay in power. He may be doing this for the money. At the time of this video recording, it's been reported that he has raised over $200 million on the premise that to challenge this election. Or is it because he's worried about the lawsuits that can expect soon after he's not protected by the presidential office? Or perhaps he is just escalating this rhetoric to continue to grab headlines as he feels the focus of the world slipping away from him, and he can't stand it. The president has largely ceased to govern, nursing his grievances in the White House and emerging only to golf, or tweet, or in this case, from this Saturday, actually traveling to Georgia to help the Republicans win the Senate, which will probably fail. The coronavirus pandemic right now is burning out of control. A new estimate directly from the CDC notes that the deaths from COVID-19 are likely much higher than the official number suggests. Deaths in the United States were 19% higher from March to November of this year than normal. More than 345,000 people than normal have died in that period. This number includes deaths from other causes, drug overdoses, for example, but suggests that the pandemic has exacerbated death rates aside from those caused by COVID-19. Now, mind you, I'm getting all this information from the CDC. Today, we hit another grim milestone. At the time of this recording, 2,760 new deaths from COVID. This is the highest daily death toll in America so far, passing the spring watermark. Coronavirus hospitalizations have also reached a high with more than 100,000 people admitted. Democrats in the House made a huge concession in their efforts to combat the pandemic recession today, dropping their call for $2 trillion coronavirus package and accepting a new bipartisan $908 billion package as the starting point for negotiations with Senate Majority Leader Frogface Money Mitch McConnell. The new plan calls for $300 a week in federal unemployment benefits from December 1st to at least March of next year. $240 billion in Paycheck Protection Program assistance for small businesses. $160 billion for state and local governments. And $51 billion in money for vaccines and health care, and a temporary liability prevention to shield businesses from lawsuits related to corona. Money Mitch McConnell has already rejected this bipartisan measure, but Senator John Thorne, Republican of South Dakota, part of the Republican leadership, called the Democrats' willingness to come so far down progress. His words, progress. For his part, President-elect Biden agreed with Americans talking about the recession in the virtual roundtable that Congress must pass a robust package of relief to address your urgent needs now, but reminded them, and I quote, "My ability to get you help immediately does not exist. I'm not even in office for another 50 days, and I don't have to get legislation passed as to the United States Congress to get things done." Still, for all that Trump's posturing seems like a sign that he sees power slipping away from him as the country confronts the pandemic and the recession without him. His words are a deadly assault on our democracy by the man who swore an oath to defend it. This attack cannot be dismissed as Trump being Trump. It strikes at the very heart of what we are. For all that attacking the election might be reality television for Trump, his supporters take it very seriously indeed. At a rally in Georgia, Trump ally, lawyer Lynn Wood, insisted that he's seen the real result of the election and that Trump won over 410 electoral votes. Yeah, you heard me. She said that over 410 electoral votes. Continuing to quote him, "He damn near won every state, including California." The crowd then blamed Georgia Governor Brian Kemp, a Republican, for the fact that the state's recount did not go Trump's way. They chanted, "Lock him up." Where have I heard that before? The supervisor of elections in Pasco County, Florida, Republican Brian E. Corey, said he felt compelled to speak out against those attacks of the election. Facts are a stubborn thing, that he wrote in a statement. It's a lie to say the election was fraudulent, he said. With every deep state conspiracy and illegitimate claim of fraud, our democracy sinks deeper and deeper into divisiveness. As the world looks on, the greatest democracy in the world dares to risk that the peaceful and orderly transition of power in favor of propagating unfounded claims of a rigged election. The people have spoken, and the election is over. The Vermont Secretary of State's office tweeted that their election team was threatened with execution by firing squad. The tweet also said, "This has got to stop." The wild, unfounded accusations amplified by Trump need to stop. But much of the Republican Party leadership is not denouncing Trump's behavior. Leaders are staying silent, although they're siding away from him. It's noticeable that Vice President Mike Pence has been silent about Trump's re-election accusations. He went on the ticket too, after all. And although Trump has made clear he intends to run again in 2024, Trump's hand-picked Republican National Committee Chair, Ronna McDaniel, has invited about a dozen potential 2024 candidates to a meeting in January, signaling that she is not wedded to another Trump candidacy. Meanwhile, Trump's former lawyer, Sidney Powell, illustrated the growing divide between party and Donald Trump supporters after insisting that Trump lost in Georgia because the voting machines there were not secure. She urged voters to boycott the January runoff elections in the same state. Those elections will determine which party controls the United States Senate. While today's Republicans are looking the other way as their president undermines our democracy, it has not always been this way. On this date, in 1954, the Senate voted 67-22 to condemn the behavior of Senator Joe McCarthy, who lied and bullied and blustered to stay in power until finally, in a televised hearing, his lawyer, Joseph Nye Welsh, shook his head at McCarthy's recklessness and cruelty and asked, "Have you no decency, sir? At long last? Have you left no sense of decency?" So I guess I'll have to ask that question right now to Donald Trump. And obviously the answers to both are going to be clear and simple. Have you no decency, sir? At long last? Have you left no sense of decency? For Donald Trump, he has no decency. Never has, probably never will. CTP, know the truth. God bless. Peace to the left, justice to the right.